of the world, top of the.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Wonder Women podcast, the main podcast for the business magazine for women.com. In our podcast, just like in our magazine, we're focused on promoting women's voices in business, technology, STEM, politics, sports, arts, and culture. My name is Monica Antohi. I'm the founder of the business magazine for women.com and the host of today's podcast. Before we get you to today's conversation and before I introduce you to our awesome guest, the most awesome and wonderful woman of today, I'd like to take a moment and take care of some administrative things. As you know, the podcast is now available on YouTube as a video and SoundCloud and iTunes as an audio podcast. That's how you found us. If you like what you're seeing today and what you're hearing, we would love for you to become our Patreon supporter. Basically, for the price of a coffee cup or more, you'll get cool perks like getting your name mentioned in the next podcast recording, or a handwritten card from us, or you'll get the current issue of our most awesome, the Business Magazine for Women, delivered directly into your inbox. Basically, your support will give us the resources we need to continue bringing you these interviews with these amazing women, the Wonder Women of every industry. To become a Patreon supporter, you can find us at Patreon, spelled patreon.com/Wonder Women Podcast. That's patreon.com/Wonder Women Podcast. The music for our podcast is graciously provided by our most awesome Wonder Woman, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. To get your free download, go to cbemusic.com. That is cbemusic.com. Now, let's get you to today's conversation. Today, we're speaking with the CEO of Enfavr, Aparna Pujar, and we'll be delving into the sharing economy and the helping economy and the reciprocity movement that's going around. So, Aparna, welcome, and actually, hi, and welcome.
Yeah, hi, I'm happy to be here. Very nice to have had this opportunity.
Absolutely. So let's introduce you to our audience. Who is Aparna Pujar? Let's get a little bit of background on you, so they're blown away just like I have been while talking to you. So, who's Aparna Pujar?
Well, I'm originally from India, as my name would have given away, and I grew up and studied there. I'm eldest of three siblings. Was always fascinated by math and tech as I was growing up. And eventually graduated as an electrical engineer, and then later on completed my master's in computer science in the US at Santa Clara University. I migrated to US 25 years ago and was fortunate to land in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
The internet at that time was just taking off, and I got hooked. I've loved being in the thick and thin of all the action that has happened here and continues to happen. I also have two daughters. One of them is in college and the other one is in high school.
Nice.
My husband, Pranesh, also works in the high tech, and he is a human resource executive.
Prior to Enfavr, I know you've come from eBay, from Yahoo. You also have a women's startup lab. Just a bit of background on that.
I think most of this, I call it really situational. I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. As I mentioned before, my career actually grew with internet companies or internet-based companies. Yahoo and eBay at the time were these iconic companies, and even to this day, they still are. They had some of the most smartest people, and I was glad to have had the opportunity to work with them. This is the generation that changed how we use internet today. I did learn a lot, made some really good friends, and gained a tremendous amount of solid work experience. The Women's Startup Lab was different because I had decided to take on entrepreneurship, and I knew I had to learn some basic skills about being an entrepreneur. And Women's Startup Lab was this fascinating accelerator, as they call them, that was designed to help women succeed as entrepreneurs. So it was a perfect, extension of the skill sets that I needed to have um, with respect to what I was trying to do as in the next phase of my life.
So, what made you switch from corporate to your own startup? I mean, what was the driving factor behind that?
Well, I am a product manager by trade, and in the Silicon Valley, the role of a product manager is to really go after untapped opportunities and find opportunities to build and create solutions. Being in the innovation capital of the world, you're wired to think very differently. I've just about me, I've always been entrepreneurial, even on the projects that I've worked on at bigger companies. I sort of had this, let's do things in an innovative way attitude towards them. I love problem solving and creating solutions. When my kids were younger, as a family, we prioritized for work-life balance. So a corporate job was a perfect way, at least in my mind, to accomplish that. And I was really happy to have gone through that experience. Now that my daughters are grown up and they're a little less dependent on me, I felt like the timing was right for me to take on entrepreneurship, which was and has always been my dream. The solid experience that I've had will certainly be handy, and I'm very thankful for that.
It's very surprising you're saying that it's easier to be a parent in corporate America than as an entrepreneur. It really
Um,
is.
I think the way I think about this is, it's a personal choice, and even to some extent, what your personal preferences are. Entrepreneurship is definitely much tougher than a corporate job. Now that I've gone through a year of being an entrepreneur, um, I realized that the buck stops at you, and you are almost required to be involved in every aspect of running the company. Even though you hire some of the smartest people expect you to sort of guide them and give them the vision and drive the company to where you want it to go. So that does require a lot more, mental involvement. In a corporate world, you're working in a larger team. You have other people that are, sort of your guiding forces or guiding factors. And there is that sense of, I have someone to go to if I'm stuck somewhere. And there are people who can mentor me or guide me. And within the corporate environment, it's much easier to reach out to people. And so that reduces, in at least to me, that sort of was less of a mental challenge than what it is in a corporate in the entrepreneur world.
Plus,
Sorry.
you get to share a little bit of responsibility. Even though you're in charge, you're not like ultimately
Alone.
responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not alone, and you're not the only one, guiding the company or setting the goals and all that stuff. So yeah, it's I understand, but it's still surprising because a lot of women have a very hard time going back into the business world and in tech world with children. I mean, it makes it a lot tougher when you have to take care of two children at home and still go back and if it's easier, I mean, it is easier to be working corporate than as an entrepreneur. I know. I know. It's 9 to 5 or whatever. It's 45 hours a week. It's 50 hours a week. It's not 80 hours a week that you put in as an entrepreneur. So yeah, I would totally agree with you on that one as well. But
Yeah.
so your startup that I really really want to get into talking about is Enfavr. What is this about? I mean, I know what it's about, but I want you to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, a lot of it I think came from my own personal experience being, sort of like a career working mother.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we were always a nuclear family here, and one of the things that I often wondered was, back in the olden days when you had an extensive network and there was no technology, you would take the time to meet people face to face and talk to them, and through that interaction come to rely on them to do certain things for you, right? And I felt like With modern technology, most of us today are, stuck to our phones. Our primary means of communication or interaction with people has now become, some technical gadget or a device.
Correct.
And I feel like that interpersonal connection is suffering because of that. And, the device or the communication devices that we use certainly put an element of, I guess, a constraint because when you're talking to people, there's no barrier. You tend to open up. You tend to discuss things very differently. But when you're suddenly using a phone, it sort of restricts you. There's only a few things you can. You got to watch what you're doing. But one of the things that I felt was, there was a need for us to be connected with people, and especially people who like everyone that you know of are trying to get through life.
Yes.
Right. Every day is a challenge. We need a lot of things done, and there are a lot of demands on us. And I felt like there was a need for a solution that went beyond just sharing photos and chatting, to using this technology to help address these demands, these everyday demands that we have on ourselves. Anything from hey, I am trying to plant tulips next week. Can someone come out and help me? Right? The option should always not be that I go out and hire a gardener to do this, because in olden days, as two friends or two people who love gardening would get together and do it, and it would just be a normal way of how we would do things. And so I felt like there was a missing link where people to people collaboration on common day-to-day activities was missing, and that led me to form Enfavr.
And it's a fantastic way of building community as well, because as we are right now, spread all over the world, you don't live. I mean, there's very few people who still live where they grew up. Most everybody's actually moved away for college, and they kept moving on for the next job or their family or their new family. So it's sometimes if you're in a new community, this could help, bridge that gap. This could definitely bridge the gap of, hey, I'm in a new community, so let's make some new friends and let's start helping people around here, and let's get some help for the new things that I need. Like, somebody help me build that IKEA.
I mean,
bookshelf.
You're so right. I mean, I think for me, the fundamental thing was, people are basically good, and they usually want to help others out. Right? Those who want to help don't know who needs help, and those who are seeking for help don't know whom to ask.
Right.
And it was just a matter of bringing these people together. But in addition, also creating a circle of trust among friends and communities, because the fundamental concept for me was, people tend to do favors for people they trust and care about. And having this trust aspect as part of that community was important. Normally, we hesitate to ask people for help for whatever reasons, right? We are afraid of being judged. We don't have obligations, and we tend to sort of, to refrain from doing what it is that we want to do because of these factors. And my goal, therefore, was to sort of create a platform which brought objectivity into this. Hey, I will help you, you help me, and let's be good contributing members of the society, right? That was the fundamental principle behind Enfavr.
That is very cool. What was your aha moment? What is it that personally affected you that says, okay, I have to do this. That's needed. It needs to happen. What was your this is why I need to do this?
Well, I think it goes back to being a working mother.
Yep, I thought so.
Parenting is one of the toughest jobs in the world. And for working parents, there's this constant demand and challenge for time and resources, balancing work and family needs. The way I sort of handled it was, I formed an ad hoc network of fellow parents who, we agreed to help each other out. But mostly it was in the time of crisis. And it was sort of ad hoc and unstructured. An example was, I had to go pick up my kids from school, but my manager would call me for a meeting at 4 o'clock. And, it was like my first gut instinct was call my husband, but he would be busy, then call some of my other friends, but they would be busy. And so I would, drop everything and go to pick up my kids. And at the time, I just wished, what if I had this trusted set of resources that I could depend on, and make it known to them that when you're in need, I'm willing to step in and help, right? I mean,
Right.
it was just that. And as parents are really, really good about actually helping each other out. No, I've never had someone turn me down when there was a state of crisis. All I was saying was, I don't want to wait for a crisis to happen. Let's try and bring it to, hey, I'm busy this day, can you do it? You can watch my kids on Thursday, I'll watch your kids on Friday. So I just wanted to create that, environment where it sort of simplified the whole process for everyone.
And it also creates a sense of trust that comes with long time family. Like basically, we were used to grow. I mean, we grew up with like family's going to take care of you, grandma's going to take care of you, and your neighbors are going to take care of you. It used to be like that. We're not like that anymore. So I think what you're doing is recreating family in our day and age with technology.
Yeah. Absolutely. I tend to think of, Enfavr as being this platform which helps you build an extended family around you.
It's so needed because we've become so detached emotionally from everything with, and it's so quick that transition is happening so quick, and our attention span is, it's getting smaller. We're detaching emotionally from people around us because we don't want to be judged. We don't want to be, we don't want all kinds of other things that used to be a normal way of life. Now we don't want them anymore. We just want our likes. We want people to like our stuff and continue, but we're losing that connection. We're losing the family. We're losing the connection to our friends. And I love what you're doing with this. It's fantastic. So, since you've started, what's been like the biggest thing that you're proud of with Enfavr?
The biggest thing that I personally feel very good about is that, I finally, acted upon my dream and I formed a company. And as an outcome of it was, I designed this product, I built it from scratch, created a team. I have a team that is sort of global. I have a few people in India, a few people in the US, a few people in Philippines, and we're all sort of working in this virtual company that we have. And through this process, I mean, I've met hundreds of interesting people from all walks of life. I go talk to parents, I go talk to investors, I go talk to marketing people. It is a very different experience, and to me the best thing that has come out of this is I'm learning so much. It's keeping me excited and keeping me challenged, and setting new goals for me. I am naturally the kind of person who likes to take on a challenge and see how far I can go. And so this has just worked out perfectly.
That's awesome. You're a female founder, which is fantastic. How is it being a female founder? What struggles do you have to deal with as a woman, and what joys do you've had while starting the company?
I think with respect to the founder aspect of it, I feel like my challenges are really no different than what, say, a male founder has. It's the entire process of, hey, is my idea right? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Do I have the right team? Do I have the right marketing strategy? So all these, I tend to view these problems as common for any founder that's out there. For women specifically, I think what my own personal experience has been so far is, there is a shortage of support group, right? There are lesser role models of women entrepreneurs that one could go talk to, and I'm making a conscious effort to build a sort of a network of women entrepreneurs. So we could just, get together, share our challenges, talk about our issues, and talk about our problems. I do network a lot with founders, which comprises of both men and women, but I often am, the minority in that group.
Still,
But
well, you're in Silicon Valley, so yeah.
yeah. And I think that is the challenge, right? We sometimes need sounding boards of people who
Absolutely.
have gone through this experience, especially as women, and those are very few and far between. And I'm hoping that, with more and more women taking to entrepreneurship, that will change. And I want that to change sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's awesome because actually I was talking to somebody, another founder of a nonprofit in Colorado. I'll have a link with her at the bottom about what she's doing, how she's building community, and she's building community of women actually. And what's so amazing about what she's doing is that she's touched upon a very important point that women need community. Women have, gathered around the fire for hundreds of thousands of years, and we've been talking about what's going on, and we share knowledge that way. And we again we're missing that recently. So she's building it, and I think that's what you're doing as well. And I'm not saying that Enfavr is just for women, but I think it talks about our need for community so much. And yeah, so I'm blown away by what you're doing. But how do you run your company, and do you think that's different than how a man would run the company, or how you've seen men run the companies before?
Um, I think, I guess when you're running a business, the demands of the business pretty much dictate how you run it. So I am more of a team builder, and I like to listen to many people before I make a decision. And I think that's the way, that's how I have evolved my sort of work experience, and how I tend to go about solving problems. There are a lot of men who also kind of believe in that approach. But I think as a woman, I try to focus on establishing good rapport with my team members. I play into both their personal needs and their professional needs. I'm especially very supportive of working women who I have working women on my team. I'm very supportive of them and tend to sort of honor their request for work-life balance, even though this is a startup and it's hard to do that. But I think it's important that we respect that for people, and for people, both men and women, who want to do what is right for their families.
Fantastic. What do we need to do to encourage more women to come into business, or even tech? Not even business and tech.
I think it's important for us to show them the path. For those who are already in this, it's important for us to show them the path, show them that they can succeed, and then there are possibilities. They can eventually be successful and have a fulfilling life for themselves, regardless of whether they're in tech or not. Tech just happens to be, in my mind, a little more tougher than maybe some other non-tech based business. But to me, if you're determined, if you're dedicated, and if you have the willpower, you can do it.
I fully agree. So talking about women and coming into the business world and corporate world and entrepreneurial world, do you think that this whole drive towards a sharing economy, a helping economy, do you think that's a side effect of women coming into business more?
I don't think so. I don't think this is a woman thing. Women certainly tend to create solutions and solve problems in a way that has broader impact on communities. We always think about, the larger impact on communities. But in reality, if you look at some of the popular sharing economy companies like Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, they were all started by men. So I don't, think this is a woman thing. I think this is just a changing mindset of the generations. And it may have to do with the fact that, we are seeing a shift in how people view the world. We're more conscious about, what we want to contribute to the world rather than what we're taking from it. So, and the sharing economy just plays into that sentiment.
I fully agree. Talking about what we're sharing, what are you fighting for? What is your ultimate goal with Enfavr?
Well, somewhere deep down, like I feel like Enfavor is about genuinely making our societies more integrated, with trust as an enduring fabric that ties us together. I recently actually came across this report from PR guru Richard Edelman. It's called the Barometer. The report says that about 2/3 of the people in top 10 economies, developed economies of the world, show a distinct lack of trust in institutions, whether it's business, government, media, nonprofit, etc. And I think I really like one of the points he makes about, us moving beyond the point of trust being a key factor in product purchase or selection of employment opportunity, which is where a large part of people to people trust is determined. Like, banks give you loans if your credit scores are good. It's sort of measured with a very, I would say, non-human aspect of what you can do. Your bank balance is not your indicator of trust. And I feel like it's time we change that. It's time that we really thought of using trust for what it represents. A way of establishing a relationship between people. The core of Enfavor and its vision is to create trusted codependent communities, and our vision is to use technology to quantify the meaning of that trust. I also feel like, as the world becomes more technologically driven, whether it's drones, robots, self-driven cars,
or AI,
even Mars trips.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. Actually, I really can't.
Becomes more mechanical. This is how I view it. The need to reconstruct strong human connections is paramount, and if technology can do all that, I also feel like technology can build trusted communities, and I do really want people to feel less overwhelmed about life and live it up, really, and live it up a lot.
All right, so what's coming up for you, and what's coming up for Enfavr? Where are you guys in the development stages, or are you launched, or give us a bit of updates on like when people can actually start using it.
Yeah, so Enfavor is a platform, and it's available both as a web application, and we are actually ready to launch our mobile apps as well, both on the iOS and Android platform.
Nice.
And it has been the most anticipated milestone personally for me. This is the first product I'm launching on my own sort of.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and so it's something that we've been eagerly waiting for.
Do we have any dates for that? Maybe sometime in the summer or spring?
Actually, it is going to be in spring. I mean, we are actually in the final stages, so you should hear about it pretty soon. I'm hoping that it will be well before March. But the web application is available. People can go to www.enfavr.com and sign up and start using the web app. Although I feel like the mobile app is probably going to make it much more easier, because it's the way it's designed. It's sort of more integrated into your lifestyle.
Yeah. Plus, people are using their mobile devices a lot more nowadays. Yeah. So yeah, I think the mobile app is going to be a tremendous increase in users for you guys. It's when you need it most of the time. Like, I'm on the go, something's going on, I need help.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Okay, so can I get a little bit more personal? Is that okay?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
What's your favorite book?
Oh, wow. Okay. So
What's your favorite book?
I think my favorite book is really, Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code. I bought it, this was 2003, 2004 when I first purchased it, and it was a cult movement at that time. Yep. Everyone that I knew was reading Da Vinci Code.
Yep.
And I think I remember ordering about 20 copies from Barnes and Noble and getting it to my friends and family to read. It was the topic of all our social conversations for months.
It's a great book. It's a really great book, actually, and the sequels
Yeah.
are good too. And he touches on a very delicate subject.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah,
I, I mean, it had math, it had, mystery, and it was all about women empowerment. No
yes,
one could have pulled it all together in such a fascinating way.
I agree. All right, is there a story of a struggle that has marked you and that puts you on the path that you're on right now? Is there something that's triggered your path?
I'm sure I've had my fair set of challenges, both in personal life and in professional life. But I never really called them as struggles. I sort of treated them more as, opportunities for me to test my own abilities and really, self exploration of how far I could go. I think one of the things I am thankful for, which my parents instilled in us as a family value, was to never be afraid of failure. When
Oh,
you
that
fail,
is so
just
good.
have the ability to pick yourselves up, dust yourselves off, and move on to the next thing on your agenda. And of course, try not to repeat the same mistakes.
Right, but that failure part, the never be afraid of failure, I'm definitely going to quote you on that one. It's so important. We're not taught that anymore. We're not. We're taught that you have to be perfect all the time. You have to. Everybody's getting medals for participation. You're not told you're going to fail. It's not okay for you to fail anymore. So that is
Yeah,
amazing that your parents taught you that, and I think that's helped you grow. I mean, from an outsider's perspective, if you don't know how to fail and pick yourself, you're never going to learn how to pick yourself up because
yeah,
it's not there. It's you're not coping with it. So oh
yeah.
wow, that's an amazing thing. That I mean, maybe no struggles, but that quote alone just kind of, that's amazing for everybody.
Yeah.
um,
And I think especially for women, I feel like, they should all get comfortable with it because trust me, we tend to set, I think as women, we also tend to set very high expectations of ourselves. And
yes.
sometimes I feel like, hey, you're normal, you're like any other human being in the world. Just accept yourself for who you are. You do not have to be perfect.
And if you're not perfect right now, doesn't mean you can't be perfect. You can't strive for it. Doesn't mean you're not
Yeah,
going to go for it
absolutely.
later. So
Yeah,
fail at something now. Realize what you failed at, and learn from your mistakes. I mean,
yeah.
that's a very valuable lesson right there. Yeah, it's amazing. All right, one more big question. If you have a billboard and you can put anything on it, what would you put on it, and where would you put the billboard?
Well, I guess I'll have two billboards if I can take the
You can
liberty.
have 10.
One
Sure.
would be for Enfavr, and that would simply say, find a friend, hand over your kids, and go on a date night.
Oh, so nice.
And because one of the things that I hope people can do with Enfavor is really parents to get a chance to go on date nights. My own experience was that when our kids were younger, I can't remember, it would be like months or 6 months or 7 months before my husband and I could go out on a date night. And I feel like honestly it doesn't have to be that tough. We should be able to go on a
Agree.
date night once a month. The other one would really say, believe in yourselves. You can do it.
Oh, that is awesome. We need to hear that. Like a lot of women, and men need to hear that. You know,
Yeah.
you really need to believe in yourself. Where would you put it though? Like, give me a spot on the
Oh,
planet.
okay. I think my favorite spot would be this 101, which is the highway that connects San Francisco and the freeway that connects San Francisco and San Jose. It's smack in the middle of all the high tech action. And I think that would be a perfect place to put it.
Yeah, a lot of traffic, and a lot of people can see it, and a lot of
Yeah.
women that are driving by there who can see
Yeah. A
it.
lot of working mothers.
Absolutely, and we all need it, but especially working mothers. Awesome. So ultimately, like the last actual question, is there something I haven't asked? Is there something that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, I would encourage you all to sign up for Enfavr and try it out, and be a part of this movement. In many ways, it's meant to help you. And as a product owner, I'm interested in hearing from you and your stories on how it would make your lives easier and, more importantly, more fun. I feel like life should not be so tough.
Life should not be so tough. And we will have all that information at the bottom of the podcast and probably in the magazine as well. And the information with the email address. Actually, if you want to tell us how to reach you.
You can tweet me at Pujar. It's APUJAR. And I would certainly love to hear from you.
Fantastic. And I'll have, again, all that information at the bottom. So that is all my questions for today, Aparna. I hope it wasn't too painful for you today.
Oh, no, it was absolutely fun. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and making it fun for me as well. And it was so eye-opening. Sorry, about specifically talking about the difference between corporate and entrepreneurship, being in the corporate world and being an entrepreneur. And it's a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into that. So that alone is important. And the building of community with Enfavr, I can't wait to actually use it myself because, hey, I need it too. So
we all need it. We all need it. We don't realize it yet, but I'm hoping that people start to really look at our entire lifestyle in a different way and be more integrated as a community.
That is awesome. Aparna, thank you so much again for today. And I want to thank also everybody that's listening in and everybody that's going to be reading this. And we're done for today. And I want to thank our listeners and invite you to check out our website at thebusinessmagazineforwomen.com. I'm signing off for today. Thank you. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. And thank you again for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. Just to remind you that for a price of coffee, you can now hear your name on our podcast. So go to patreon.com/Wonder Women Podcast and make your pledge. The music for our podcast is graciously provided by our most awesome Wonder Woman, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. To get your free download, go to cbemusic.com. That is cbemusic.com. In the meantime, check out our other podcast and get caught up with the previous issues of our magazine at thebusinessmagazineforwomen.com. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.